globally recognized entrepreneur, technologist, and community leader, Ratmir Timashev is the founder of Veeam Software, the global leader in cloud data protection and management software, founded here in Columbus, Ohio. Ratmir is also a Buckeye. A champion of education and technological innovation in the Midwest, Ratmir and the Timashev Family Foundation are leading supporters of The Ohio State University. Ratmir's career as a software entrepreneur began during his time as a graduate student at Ohio State in 1995. Together with his close friend and partner, Andrei Baronoff, they built their first company, Alita Software, which they sold to Quest Software in 2004. The duo later founded Veeam Software, and Ratmir served as CEO before the company sold to Insight Partners in 2020. Today, Ratmir is building a new data hardware company, Object First, and I am thrilled that he joins us today on Enginuity.
Thank you for having me today, Dean Howard. Great to be here.
I'm actually excited about this conversation. So, Ratmir, you are the first of several alumni we'll be chatting with in our new Enginuity Entrepreneur Tour. And I'll be asking each of them if there was something or someone that inspired them to become an entrepreneur. So, since you are our first guest on this, did you have a eureka moment or a special influence in your life that led you to entrepreneurship?
Yeah, the eureka moment was I grew up wanted to be a scientist, and that was my vision. My parents were engineers, and they always kind of promoted the value of science and knowledge. Early days, I decided that I wanna be a scientist because science was very prestigious when I grew up in Soviet Union in Russia. Early days, I knew that I want to be a scientist, so I worked very hard to get to the top university, science university in Moscow. But also, so I was driven, and I think that being driven is very important for entrepreneurs. And early days, I realized that science is actually very similar, when I was exposed to some business ideas, very similar to other creative activities such as sport or art or business. At some point, I had to make money while I was a student, and I realized that I'm very good at making money. So I thought maybe I should consider entrepreneurial career versus scientific career. And I remember the days when I first came to Ohio State, and I started doing some business activities on the side while still working on my PhD, which I never finished. I got 2 masters in physics, but never finished my PhD. But I had to make money on the side, and I realized that I actually like that business activity. So at that time, I said, probably long term, I want to be an entrepreneur. And we were lucky because that was 30 years ago when internet just came about. Similar to these days when everybody is talking about AI. Back then, 30 years ago, everybody was talking about internet and the opportunities that it will create for society in general or for businesses specifically, right? So that was the eureka moment when I said, I want to be entrepreneur, and I want to be internet or software entrepreneur.
So I love when you stated science was prestigious. And so I love saying that. I need to tell all my engineers. The other one is I was very good at making money. And I will say, I think it was the scientist in you that enabled you to really think about, making money and exploring the possibilities, problem solving.
Absolutely. No, as I always like to draw the analogy between science and business, as well as any other creative activity like sport or art. Like those people, like sport people, sportsmen, sportswomen, or art people, all of them are ego-driven, in a good sense, right? So, and business people, they are also ego-driven, similar to sport, art. They want to be recognized. And in business and in different types of activities, the recognition comes in different forms, right? So in basketball, it's you want to become an NBA champion, right? So in business, you want to make a million or a billion, right? So it's just different measurement of the success, but all of those activities, they have a lot in common. They're all ego-driven people in a good sense. And so I always thought that, yeah, in science we always wanted to be recognized in our community of scientists, right? So, and what's the best recognition as Nobel Prize, right? So we all wanted to be a Nobel Prize at some laureates at some point, right? So um, that's the analogy I always draw.
So here you are, in a good sense, an ego-driven physics graduate student. You arrive here probably wanting to get the Nobel Prize, but then you decided to launch your first business. And so thinking about your journey as a student, what were the trials and tribulations of thinking about that and navigating that space?
Yeah, when you start a new activity, yeah, I remember when we were scientists, when we started, me and my partner started our first business here, close to Ohio State campus. We had a small apartment where all the ideas were born. Yeah, and it was a good time, fun time when we had to create and experiment and take risks, and that was a great time. I remember. Yeah, and as I said, it helped us to be scientists because we were curious, we were driven, we had healthy ego, and we wanted to achieve something, to change the world with our software.
Was there anything that like stopped you, or was there anything that was a barrier where you're like, but we can do this?
That's what differentiates people that are entrepreneurial in mind. Nothing can stop them. That's the most important thing to have for entrepreneur. They have to believe in themselves. They have to believe in their idea. There is a good word right now being used. You have to have a conviction, right? So conviction in your idea for your software that is gonna change the world. We grew up as scientists. In science, again, it's very similar. You have to believe and work on your idea and do the experiments until you prove that you are correct. In business, it's very similar. Like you believe in your idea. However, in business, like in science, you have to pivot and experiment, right? So pivot or experiment are the same things, right? So experimenting in science is similar to pivoting in business, right? So you are trying different variations of similar business idea until you get to the right product for your customers.
Okay, so you had this initial business idea, your first experiment, which was your first business, but it then spawned into another and another. And so when you think about that, can you explain how your first business grew from, I heard it was like online computer parts, to basically, what Veeam is now?
Yeah, our first business was we decided to build an online e-commerce store. It was before Amazon. It was 94, 95. We were already selling computer parts, and we would receive a catalog on CD with 30,000 items from a large distributor called Tech Data. And we decided to use that database as the database for our computer parts. So we built the HTML interface, credit card processing, and we launched our e-commerce store back in 95, 96, right after Amazon. But we did it in Columbus, and there were not a lot of venture capital where we can go and get an advice or money to scale our business, so we didn't know what to do with this business. Meanwhile, we built this online store on the new platform that just came from Microsoft called Windows NT Server. Before that, Microsoft had a desktop operating system like Windows 95, and we became a very good experts and started offering, created a couple of tools to automate the configuration and security of Windows NT server for customers that were using Windows NT in their data centers. And that's how our first company was born, called iLead Software. It created different software tools. They're called systems management tools for monitoring, for configuration management, for security management, for backup of different Microsoft applications like Microsoft Server, Windows Server, Active Directory, Windows Exchange Server, SQL Server. And that was our first business. We developed different tools for data center administrators to use to improve the configuration and security of the Windows part of the data center infrastructure.
So it was basically a B2B company.
That's right.
And you mentioned security. I don't even think people were thinking about security back in 95 or 96, which is amazing. So Veeam, which is slightly different, how did that evolve then?
Veeam is actually very similar. So in business, it's very important to catch the wave, right? So when the water rises, all the boats are rising, right? So you need to catch the wave or the trend. Like right now, back then it was internet wave, right? So and then there was a Windows NT wave. Windows NT has become a very, very successful operating system that businesses and large businesses started using in their data center. So as the need for Windows NT grew, the need for our tools that would help you to implement and configure and secure Windows NT also grew. So that simple idea that we learned from building our first business, iLead, we reused for Veeam. So when we started looking around thinking what should be our next move, we realized that VMware is the next Windows NT. VMware that created so-called virtual machine software, which allowed people to really optimize their data center investments, run multiple applications on a single physical server. That's the essence of virtual machine. We realized that this VMware is going to be the next Windows NT because all the enterprises started adopting VMware in 2003, 2005, 2007 timeframe, and our idea was the same. Let's use this wave of VMware being popular and being adopted by all, and build different tools for VMware administrators that they can use. And backup wasn't even our first product, but once we released the backup for VMware, we realized that backup is really what people need. Administrators, VMware administrators in data centers, they really need a new type of backup because the traditional backup that worked for physical world, meaning for Unix or Linux or Windows physical servers, didn't work very well for VMware virtual machine environment. And that's how Veeam was born, with basically creating the best backup software, backup and recovery software.
So
and the need for backup and recovery grew a lot because data grew exponentially in the last 10, 20 years, right? So the amount of data that we generate every year exceeds the data that we generated in the last 50 years, right? So the data grows exponentially and data needs to be protected. And that's what Veeam's business is about, protecting customers' data and recovering in case of the natural disaster or in case of cybersecurity threat. That's what Veeam's business is.
So, you mentioned, I kept hearing data centers and data and virtual machines. And this was back when, now everyone understands data centers. But when you started Veeam, I don't even think people could spell data centers. And so thinking about, having that vision, I wish I had talked to you and knew you when I sold my first software for, it wasn't a whole lot of money. So think of young students, entrepreneurs, old students, entrepreneurs. Your business success is driven by something, because basically everything you touch seems to, quote unquote, you're very good at making money. And so, can you share with our listeners, like, what is your theory of your business success?
The business is success is based on very simple idea. You have to be at the right time, at the right place, and create a brilliant product. I'm frequently being asked, what does it take to create a successful technology or software company? Again, it's three things: right time, right place, brilliant product. So you have to find this moment where something is becoming very popular. Like these days, back then it was internet. That's why we decided to build an online store. Then it became Windows NT. Then it became VMware. Now it's AI. So a lot of opportunities, business opportunities, will be in the area of AI. So you have to be at the right time, at the right place. Right now, the place is AI. Right time is right now. You don't want to be too early, but you don't want to be too late. You don't need to be the first, but you need to be pretty early to be successful.
Which means you need to be a scientist or an engineer to get to that product.
100% agree. You have to be curious. You have to be curious.
So when you think about your theory of business success, your elements of being driven and curious as a scientist, this has all led to you being an exceptionally generous philanthropist, and to Ohio State has been transformational. So, I mean, we could literally devote a whole podcast to thinking about what you've done for Ohio State. I mean, everything from student scholarships, teaching and research in chemical physics and data analytics. The Timashev family music building was possible because of you. And now I'm understanding that creativity around arts, which links to being creative as a scientist. I'm now understanding where that linkage is. And then, of course, your most recent gift, which I will have to say I'm personally biased, it is my favorite, which is the astounding 100 million gift from the Timashev Family Foundation for the Center for Software Innovation. And you had this vision around, what does software look like? What does marketing look like? What is this intersection of software entrepreneurship and what can we do here in Ohio? I think that was transformational. And the fact that you gave back to your alma mater, believing in us to actually do that, I think that was exciting. And so I know a little bit about like your vision through some of our conversations, but I'd like you to really describe to our listeners your long-term vision and dream for the new Center for Software Innovation.
I'm very grateful for this opportunity that Ohio State gave me, and I want to pay back. I want to and pay forward, not just pay back, right? So I want other people, other students, have a similar opportunity to be successful at Ohio State, and I think the future is all about software. Software is eating the world, according to Mark Andreessen, a famous investor and entrepreneur. Right now, AI is eating the world. So I want to make sure that we here at Ohio State realize these opportunities. And I think Columbus, Central Ohio, has an opportunity to be the leader in this new world and take advantages of the opportunities that are coming with software. Everything is about software. Right now, I always say, like, JP Morgan is not a bank. It's a software company that happened to provide banking services. Tesla is not a car manufacturer. It's a software company. So all the value add is in software. I strongly believe in that. 30 years ago, there were a handful of software companies, maybe 10, 20. 10 years ago, the number of software companies probably grew to 50,000. Today, my guess would be we're approaching 500,000, and in 10 years, it will be 5 million software companies. So we just need to realize, because the value add is in software. In software, AI, everything is driven by software. All the services, all the products are software driven. And I want young people to realize that the future, the successful future, uh, is not with like being working for a hot consulting company like Deloitte and Touche or McKinsey, or not being an investment banker, or not making money on Wall Street. The future is in software. So the successful jobs and jobs opportunities are in software. That's the main message, and we want to create the curriculum that helps and prepares our students, Ohio State students, for this new software AI-driven world.
Which I love, which I love. The curriculum, Columbus is the place. I think you're a little bit biased since you started your first company here, but I also agree.
Dean Howard, I have a couple of questions for you.
Uh-oh.
I know that you also have a unique blend of experience as an entrepreneur as well as a educator. So where do you see the biggest opportunity in terms of educating our students for the future?
Well, I actually agree with you, this whole concept of software is eating the world, but I will replace it by AI is eating the world. And I just love the fact that artificial intelligence is becoming on the norm. But I think we need to be intentional about teaching our students what this means. I don't want to design and develop AI developers. I don't think that's what it is. But I need to have engineers and scientists be disciplined experts and understand how to use AI to develop great products. And we don't really do a good job of that. But I think that my experience around entrepreneurship, my first software package was sold in 1997. It helped me buy my first house. But that was AI. It was not the right time, but the right product. And so how do we design the Center for Software Innovation, the curriculum, so that students who have a great idea now that want to use AI can actually make an impact for their communities, their lives, and have social value. And so I think we have a great team here at Ohio State that can actually do that.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, Ohio State is positioned very well to be very successful in this new AI-driven world. Yeah, AI is going to be everywhere, right? So, I mean, right now it's a little bit too much hype around AI. Everybody is talking about it. Not a lot of people understand what it means or how to use it. And I think we have to take advantage of this moment. And I know that we are working, and Ohio State is working, and our new president, President Carter, is working on brilliant ideas how to take advantage of this new wave of AI. What do you think? How we should teach kids,
Yeah, so
our students, on the opportunities that AI opens up?
Yeah, so I'm a little biased because I'm a roboticist as well. And I think one of the unique advantages we have here in Ohio is that we are still very much in the hardware, the physical world, manufacturing, mobility, those elements. And so I think that because of that, by bringing in AI, we actually have a special sauce. You mentioned Tesla is really, basically a software company that happens to sell cars. Well, your cars are very physical. So how do you design products from the very beginning, knowing you have embodied AI from the beginning? Not that many people are teaching that. And I think we have an advantage because our students know hardware, right? They know the transactional, they know the physical world. We're now bringing in the AI. And so I think some of the companies that will come out will be that intersection. AI in manufacturing, AI in mobility, AI in energy, AI in data centers, right? Where the AI is the enabler, but the great product is going to be in the physical. That's my hypothesis.
No, I 100% agree. Robotics and AI is going to merge together and create the AI-driven future.
I agree.
Yeah. The Center for Software Innovation, we normally, the way we think about it, like we have 4 pillars for the center. One is the education curriculum. Another one is career opportunities for our students to get the best internships and full-time jobs in technology companies. The third pillar is kind of community building in Central Ohio, in Columbus, and the fourth pillar is entrepreneurship. And I think your career and your experience kind of overlaps all these pillars. You are the person that uniquely positioned to understand all the pillars. In general, what do you think about this initiative of the Center for Software Innovation and having these four pillars?
I think one is very ambitious, but it's something that I think is the only way that it will work. Because one, and I'll go through each. So education is not just around our Ohio State students, but it's also around those who might see themselves as entrepreneurs, but don't really have the backing or the educational know-how to do that. All right, you kind of need to know everything from what is software, what is AI, what is marketing, how do you think about selling products, right? Like that's the education. Then the community building, I mean, we are a land-grant institution. I mean, that is our fundamental mission, is to ensure that we leave the world. So that's aligned with that mission. Of course, career opportunities. Why do you go to school? To have a career? I mean, it's why else go to school except to start your own business or get a job. And ideally, I want them to be technical jobs. I'm an engineer, so of course that's my goal. And then entrepreneurship, I think that if you think about even in the US, the number of small businesses that then grow into unicorns is amazing, and the opportunities are immense. And so how do we provide that safe haven to explore, to innovate, to be creative, to be driven, but not fall flat? And so I think that all allows us to be basically the Columbus of, I won't say the Silicon Valley of the Midwest, but you know, the Silicon Valley of the Midwest, but even better because we're more affordable.
Yep, absolutely. It's going to be the next Silicon Valley in general.
I agree. So this has been great. I actually learned, I thought I knew everything about you and the center, but I actually learned quite a bit. I want to thank you for taking the time to sit and express your thoughts and answer some hard questions. And you even turned the tables and asked me some questions.
Yeah, it's been my pleasure and privilege. I enjoyed our conversation. Thank you, Dean Howard.
Thanks for listening to Enginuity. Stay up to date on all the amazing innovation and groundbreaking research happening within The Ohio State University College of Engineering by connecting with us on X, Facebook, Instagram, and Threads at OSU Engineering.